Cannabis social clubs. The experience of cannabis social clubs and cannabis associations in Catalonia, Spain, and the world. History, laws, social change through activist campaigns and action. Cannabis social re-evolution. President, Federation of Self-Regulated Cannabis Associations of Catalonia. From Catalonia, Albert Teal.
Hello, Sawadee Kap. Hello, good morning here in Catalonia, Spain, Europe, and good afternoon in Thailand, Asia. I'm Albert Teal, cannabis activist and member of the direction board of IRAM. It's Independent Medical and Recreative Self-Consume Association, an association, cannabis social club from Barcelona, which was active from 2011 to 2014, when it was locked down after 6 police interventions during the 3 years that was open, which ended in 6 trials. I'm also president of FEDCAC, which is a federation of self-regulated cannabis associations in Catalonia, one of the 2 Catalan federations which will turn into national and global in the coming days. A short time ago, I didn't know for sure if I could be able to attend this conference, as I've been convicted to 5 years of prison, together with the 2 other members of the board, because of a crop for the consumption of the members of the associations, as we were waiting for a date to enter prison. But now the date has come, and the date is next week, on Wednesday, November 18th. So this will be one of the last public appearances in freedom. So this is the logos of IRAM, our association, and FEDCAC, our federation. And I'm going to make a very quick summary. First, I will talk about the history of cannabis associative movement, also about legislation in all the levels, and our case. And the third point is IRAM's case. And also we'll talk about activist campaigns. And at the end, I will try to figure out about the present and the future of the movement, either in the national level or in the worldwide. So the history of cannabis associative movement. The cannabis association movement was born in Catalonia and strongly developed both in Basque Country and Catalonia, and is already a reality spread throughout Spain, with almost 2,000 associations, half of which are in Catalonia, most of them in Barcelona. The explanation comes from a strong tradition of associationism and self-organization of these 2 communities, Basque and Catalan, which have often had to fight against an authoritarian imposition of centralist governments from Madrid. And we are seeing it now with paralysis of social laws approved in the Parliament of Catalonia from the Spanish justice system, with the excuse of lack of powers, competencies, in a context of a territorial conflict, which is existing right now, which is not only that, but also a clash of 2 models of society. One more open, in which politics seems to be more at the service of social evolution, and another one that wants to preserve a status quo and privileges, making society have to adapt to immovable laws anchored in the past. An example of these social laws is one that regulates the functioning of cannabis associations, approved in 2017, with the majority support of the Catalan Parliament, suspended and annulled by the Spanish Constitutional Court in 2019, last year. It was a process from civil society that collected 60,000 signatures to present a popular legislative initiative, which is the only democratic tool which we have the citizens available to present laws, proposals, without going through the political parties. Something that the political parties appreciated a lot, because sometimes they think they will lose votes if they support these initiatives. And they were happy that it was the civil society who was proposing these laws. Then it was discussed with experts in a commission in the parliament, where it was approved, but could only be active for several months. The cannabis social clubs model, often prosecuted by police and judicial system in Spain, has been successfully exported to other parts of the world. This model promotes a more social model than a more commercial one. It is a response to the still prevailing prohibitionist, repressive laws that emanate from undemocratic laws from dictatorship from last century. It's for struggle against the prohibition of individual and collective self-cultivation, since not everyone can cultivate at home. It is based on non-profit organizations which must reinvest all profits and surpluses in the associations, not to have benefits for the people. Or in solidarity or social assistance programs, as well as in risk prevention and minimization of harm in consumption. I think it is not at odds with a more commercial model. It's compatible, which could coexist with associations. But what we would not like is the trend that we're currently seeing, in which cultivation licenses are being granted to multinationals and pharmaceutical companies in an opaque, not transparent way. Cannabis can be a form of redistribution of wealth, providing opportunities for the most disadvantaged collectives, while the associative movement continues to be criminalized, persecuting its crops and forcing it to provide from illegal networks with all that this entails. When the codes of good practice advise us to cultivate from the association as a way to fight against the black market. So these codes of good practice always tell you that the association must cultivate, must not buy in the black market. This market is not concerned with the health of protection of minors and the people with mental health problems, whom their use is totally discouraged. Our association, apart from developing a list of solidarity, social and cultural activities to stimulate participation and social integration, also developed programs to reduce and abandon cannabis and tobacco consumption. We wanted to provide with tools to users whose consumption was harmful for themselves. The associations are concerned and monitor the consumption of their members, establishing limits and controls, as well as sensitization and awareness, disclosure of information, and quality controls to know at all times what is being consumed, how much and in what way, to make it as favorable to health and less harmful as possible. Likewise, referral programs are available to other entities specialized in addiction work for those cases that require it. They are democratic and transparent organizations, or at least they should be. But we are aware that the lack of regulation, which we have pursued so much during these years, enables other more economic and less social interests with the form of this type of association. We believe that both interests can be reconciled. For example, so that more recreational consumption can finance medical programs and medical research, or even access to the plant by therapeutic users for free or almost free. This was our philosophy. In our case, and sadly in that other associations which we have led these political changes and have worked on political advocacy, we have been overexposed at the political and media level. This has caused us to be easy victims to target, to punish, to retaliate with hard condemnations, in order, I suspect, to provoke fear in the entire movement and to be able to counteract this socially accepted and administratively tolerated reality already strongly implanted throughout the country. That is what we are experiencing now, and we hope that making it visible can be useful to accelerate the necessary legislative changes and hopefully not to toughen our sentences and situation. We hope that the press and society will help us in this difficult task to reverse the situation, since we were pioneers at the global level, and over the years we have been left behind in this global transformation. It can be beneficial if it's not raised only from an economic perspective, but also from a social and solidar one. That is why we would also like to take advantage of this situation in general, and the speaker in particular, to promote an organization in which we are all represented. Users and cultivators, associations and federations, patients and the health system, activism and politics, the legal industry and the one that can become legal, a kind of lobby, although I don't like very much that word, that can push hard towards comprehensive regulation and legalization and can then serve other countries. I know that there is already well-worked initiatives in this regard, such as Transnational Institute or Transform Drugs. But since activism in Spain has traditionally been a bit divided, and when it has come together, it has achieved big goals. Perhaps the pandemic situation may be a good opportunity to come together and show the rest of the society that the change of laws in this sense is more a solution than a problem itself. Regarding a chronology, this is the Catalan Parliament, where the day of the law was approved in 2017. Chronology of the Cannabis Association legally registered was ARSEC in Barcelona in 1991, which proceeded to plan a collective cultivation in 1993, which were first acquitted and after convicted by the Supreme Court. Then they started Smokers Club and other associations started the same path in different parts of Spain. Nowadays, there's lots of federations. In Catalonia, we have two federations, CatFac and FedCac. And the national level is a confederation of federations called CONFAC. And it is a hard moment for the movement, so we need to come together to defend ourselves from repression in a positive and proactive way, like looking for all the possibilities and strategies to be able to make the legislation, the laws, adapt themselves to social reality, and not the contrary, because the society is evolving and the laws have to be changed to adapt them to the social changes, not the other way around. Regarding the legislation in our country, we have some cities and villages who have regulated the activity of the cannabis social clubs as a result of the growing number of new associations. So these local laws regulated the distances between them and to educational or health centers, and that there were good extraction systems and non-smokers areas inside the club. In the regional level, some autonomies have tried to some succeeded in the legislation to regulate the activities of the Cannabis Social Club, but most of them have been suspended by the Constitutional Spanish Court for lack of powers. At the national level, Spain is completely blocked, though it's funny to see how the government is giving or selling licenses, as I said before, to big companies, normally foreign, in order to plan to export to countries where it's legal, either medical or recreative use. This is a contradiction. And now Canadian companies are also offering us to buy them the cannabis we distribute to the members of the association, because they are seeing all the problems we are having to cultivate ourselves, like in my case, to avoid the black market. Regarding Europe, we are waiting to December to see if at last the cannabis is removed from list 4 of drugs, the most dangerous, to list 1, less dangerous, and the UNO, so that all European countries can legislate without that limitation. So if that happens, it might be states legalization in chain. But at the moment, all stops by the governments who are really in shock and paralyzed by the pandemic. They don't want to make a move before the sanitary crisis ends. When we think that the regulation could be a part of the solution to the crisis, some countries are anyway starting regulation and legalization projects of laws, mainly for medical use, like the United Kingdom, Italy, Israel, Switzerland, Luxembourg, and Germany. Asia, where there have always been the hardest convictions against drug users and dealers, is now showing change signals. South Korea, Japan, and of course Thailand, the country which shows more initiatives in the area. But I'm sure other countries will follow their path. And we believe the industry should organize also globally. But first, as an activist, I would first try to join the activism globally, looking for complicities in the industry, which can grow and work, because some activists first struggle and sacrifice for the needed changes for the industry to work. So that industry should never forget that, and should always be solidar and helpful with the people who are risking their lives and freedoms to make things change. This is a photo of the people who participated in the creation of the law. And I will talk about our case, RM case. Very quickly, we had police interventions. We were accused of crime against health, public health, and also of illegal association. We had 6 trials, 3 of them with acquittals, and then we were to the criminal court, and we made a lot of political advocacy with the political parties and the governments. And while we were open, we had 3 acquittals, and then after we were closed, there came the three other trials, which had the end of a result of convictions. We asked for suspensions with the conviction of less than 2 years. And we are now waiting for a pardon to the government of Spain. And also we made an appeal to the European Human Rights Court in Strasbourg. And at the end, we have to go to prison to wait for these answers. This is a photo of our Cannabis Social Club, IREM, in Barcelona, while we were open. And this is the photo of the court. We had the trial. And then I will talk very quickly about the campaigns we have been working with. At the beginning, we were together in the Cannabis Catalan movement. And also we were participating in the Responsible Regulation initiative from Madrid. The Green Rose is the Catalan law that was approved in 2017. We also had an initiative called We Are What We Cultivate with the two Catalan federations. And now we are also working together in the Consumption with Rights, which tries to make visible all the harm that prohibition is making more than the plan itself. Here are all the campaigns we have made with the logos. And also now we are concentrated in our case into collecting signatures with change.org and also the crowdfunding for the European appeal, which is in GoFundMe. You will find it. We're trying to collect 10,000 euros for the lawyers to keep on working. And we want to go until the end because we feel we are innocent. We are not criminals, for sure. At the end, I will just make a very quickly reflection about the present and the future. We are in a global process to which more and more countries and states are joining, both in its medical and recreational aspects. In Spain, we were pioneers with the associative movement. Press from all over the world came to be interested in what was happening here. The social reality surpassed politics and an adaptation was necessary. This is now, it was achieved in Catalonia through an popular initiative to approve a law in parliament, but everything fell apart to the territorial conflict and the reactionary conservatives of the party which was in the government in that year, through an appeal to the Constitutional Court and social progress, especially if it came from Catalonia, alleging an inequality that would be created with respect to the rest of the state. But is that a rational argument not to let it evolve or advance? I never understood it and still don't understand it. I think I have to be finishing now. Okay, 2 minutes. And the future, most likely future is that the political system will continue to be a representative democracy of parties that compete destructively for power, with which it will be difficult to go further than a medical regulation, which is less than nothing, but will leave thousands of users in the hands of the black market or in associations that may be closed and their meetings brought to trial at any time. So we wish this is useful for the whole world. This is useful. Our activists will keep on fighting from prison, in freedom, or whatever we can do. We will never surrender, and because we believe in this, and we think cannabis is a social revolution and will save the world. Thank you, and hope you enjoyed it. And I will join the discussion group later.
Thank you so much, Mr. Rio, and we definitely look forward to hearing more from you in the panel discussion this evening. Right now, we still have 1 official minute, and we're also going to offer you an additional 5 minutes for you to use this platform. Since you said in a week from now, you're going to have to go and do what you've got to do. And we appreciate all the hard work and sacrifice that you have put into the community, both in your country and how you're going to obviously affect and basically represent the reform that needs to happen firsthand. You're going to be a representative for that. So please take the next 5 minutes to discuss whatever you would like to present in regards to your situation and the criminal justice reform you'd like to see locally and internationally. Go ahead, the platform is yours.
Okay, so I will talk that this aggressive capitalism leads pharmaceutical companies to prioritize their bottom line over people's health, and governments allow and even protect it. We are seeing it with the opaque concessions of licenses to grow here in Spain, which is a contradiction that we are going to prison, and big companies are cultivating here to export to other countries.
Right. Yeah, that's very hypocritical at the least to give. They're pretty much putting profit before people. So they're allowing the corporations to do things that they're charging criminally for individuals. Correct?
That's
Basically.
correct. Yeah. Exactly. So now we're trying to start campaigns for the people to know what is happening. And we want to use our situation, which is dramatic. We're going to prison. We don't know how many times it's a conviction of 5 years, but hopefully we have to be half of the time there, and hopefully get the third grade as soon as possible, which means that we only have to go to sleep. But we will keep on fighting, and especially if you can sign in the change.org petition for the pardon from the Spanish government. We have now 15,000 signatures, but we would like to have much more to pressure the government to give the pardon. And also the crowdfunding is also a big help for us to pay all the expenses of lawyers and fines. We are getting millionaire fines, like 2,000,000 euros fine for a person who has no job now and cannot has to feed 5 members of the family. So it's a really dramatic situation, and we would like a lot of help from the international community, because this is what we're doing here can also be useful for the rest of the world. So we appreciate and we thank a lot for your invitation to this conference, and hope this is only the beginning of a big change for the whole world.
Yeah, that sounds good. You've still got 3 minutes to talk, and we were going to say, please, we saw your link in the slides, but you can definitely take your link and post it in the video chat box and on our YouTube and anywhere else that you're going to be online, so that in the future and even present, people can hopefully help you fill that petition request for the appeal or the pardon from Spain. And you've got 2.5 more minutes if you want to continue talking. Otherwise, we can just wait for the discussion panel later.
Yes, I will finish my presentation because I had to.
Great. Okay. Yeah. No, just go ahead. You've got 2 more minutes. Go ahead, please.
Okay. We hope that the entry of this left party Podemos in the government illuminates those blocking positions and manages to enter the law that they have in their portfolio, because they have a law prepared to present it. They are waiting for the pandemic to finish in order to start the process, but we think it's not necessary to wait for the pandemic to finish, because we don't know when it's going to finish. So that could be a solution for the medical crisis, the political crisis, the social crisis, economic crisis that this pandemic is bringing to the whole world. This could be a solution, because it will create a lot of new jobs. It will collect a lot of taxes, and it also generates a lot of economic activity. We think it's it's good to have a medical regulation approved, but it's not enough. We need integral law that also reflects the consumption of the recreative use, because this can finance other projects in investigation and social advance. So we think it's very important not to be stopped in the medical use, but also the recreative, because the line that separates them it's not so clear. Sometimes I use it for medical use and sometimes recreational, but I think it's all, as Steve D'Angelo talks, is welfare for everybody, and hope the society starts to understand that and help us and the whole world in these changes. Thank you very much, and I will be attending the conference Okay,
we have 30 more seconds. Can you just give us a quick review for anybody that's just now tuning in about your situation next week that you said?
Yes, next Wednesday, November 18th, we have to enter prison for a conviction of 5 years because of a cultivation that we had for the members of our association in Barcelona, a cannabis social club that was following all the good practice codes and cultivate only for the members in a security way. And we have to start this prison time, and hopefully we will keep fighting from the inside. But also we hope to go out as quickly as possible because the laws and the politicians have understood that this has to be changed.
Yes, absolutely. That's awful. And like I said, at the very least, you can think about it in a positive aspect that you are going to be firsthand representative for this reform that you want to see. And we hope the best for you. And we appreciate your time. Please share your petition link so that we can help get signatures for you. And we look forward to hearing from you again in our discussion panel later. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. See you later.
Good luck. Thank you.